Washington to come out of closed session. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. We're out of closed session at 5:58. Public comments. At this time, Lizette, would you please read the public comments section?
This portion of the agenda allows an individual the opportunity to address the board on any item not on the agenda regarding district business. State law prohibits the district from taking any action on any item not on the agenda unless authorized under section 54954.2 sub B of the government code, and your matter may be referred to the general manager. An individual may also address the board on any agenda item at the time the matter is discussed and prior to board consideration or action. Speakers will be limited to 5 minutes. Your time will start when you approach the podium, and you will be given a 30-second warning before your time expires. If you choose to ask a question during this time, any response by the board will not be extended. Any response by the board will not extend your time. Questions may be referred to the general manager to be answered at a later time after the meeting. In order to allow for a smooth and orderly meeting and allow each speaker the ability to address the board, disruptions from the audience will not be tolerated and you can be asked to leave. We appreciate your cooperation in this democratic process.
Okay, with that, we'll open the floor to public comments. And being as there are none, we will close public comments. Minutes, I have a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
A second.
Motion was made by Vice President Webb, seconded by Director Washington. All in favor of approval?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Consent calendar, motion to approve consent calendar.
So moved. Second.
Motion was made by Director Glenn, seconded by Director Stewart. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. What I would like to do is, before we do the presentation, I would like to go to, move to new business 1 first, and adopt resolution number 2018-25 commending Jim Russel Williford for his service to the district. Presented Lizette Guerrero, interim assistant general manager. At this time, the resolution we have, and I will read it, resolution number 2018-25, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Rosamond Community Services District, Kern County, California, commending Jim Russel Williford for his service to the district. Whereas Mr. Jim Russel Williford served as Board of Director of the Rosamond Community Services District, RCSD, and whereas the Board of Directors formally acknowledges and extends its profound appreciation to Mr. Williford for his service, and whereas his service was based upon the best interest of the district and the community. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors in consideration of the premises above given as follows. Section 1. The Board by this means expresses its appreciation to Jim Russel Williford for his service and dedication to the RCSD. Section 2, Mr. Williford is worthy of admiration, respect, and gratitude. Passed and adopted by the Board of Directors at a regular meeting held on this 22nd day of May, 2019. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2018-25?
Motion to adopt as presented by the President.
Second.
Motion is made by Vice President Webb, seconded by Director Glennon. It's a roll call vote.
Vice President Webb?
Yes.
Director Washington?
Yes.
Director Glennon?
Yes.
Director Stewart?
Yes.
President Webb?
Yes. We have some presentations and I'd like you to sit, Christie, and we will read them and then we will present them to you. First presentation, Kevin McCarthy, Member of Congress, 23rd District, California, April 24th, 2019. Dear Christie, it is with great sadness that I write you to express my sympathy following the death of Russell, a beloved husband, father, son, and friend. It is because of great men like Russell that make our community a better place. From his many years at U.S. Borax to time dedicated as a board member, his service was always appreciated. It is without a doubt that he is missed among many. The legacy he leaves behind will live on in the hearts and minds of your family and friends. Know that his light still shines to this day. Our thoughts and prayers are with you and your family during this time. Sincerely, Kevin McCarthy, Member of Congress. The Senate California Legislature, a memorial resolution by the Honorable Shannon Grove, 16th Senatorial District, relative to memorializing J. Russell Williford. Whereas the passing on January 23, 2019 of J. Russell Williford, age 67, a public spirited contributor to civic engagement in the community of Rosamond, where his abiding goodwill earned the respect and admiration of his family, his friends, and the countless other individuals whose lives he touched, has brought a sense of immense sorrow and loss to his fellow Californians. And whereas a Los Angeles native born to Jim and Ella Murray Williford on August 15, 1951, Jim Williford entered the world as the third generation of Williford men, known familiarly as Jim. After having lived in Alaska from the age of 2 to 8, he returned with his family in 1959 to the small Kern County community of Rosamond, where he attended Rosamond High School and actively participated in key club sports and student government, most notably as student body president during his senior year, at the end of which he graduated in the class of 1969. And whereas for nearly 40 years, Jim distinguished himself professionally in the mining industry with one of California's most historic companies, U.S. Borax, presently a division of global mining group Rio Tinto. While working at the Mojave Desert's western edge in Boron and in his capacity as a mine supervisor, he trained miners and provided oversight for mining operations in California's largest open pit mine in one of the world's two most important locations for borax mining. And whereas, having lived in Rosamond for 50 years, Jim furthered his family's long-standing tradition of being deeply rooted in his community, where a local park bears his father's name, by sharing his considerable civic zeal as a longtime board member and at the time of his passing, board president for Rosamond Hills Apartments, a low-income senior housing facility founded by his father and other community members, contributing his efforts to the Rosamond Parks and Recreation Program and the local Kiwanis Club, and providing leadership as vice president of the Rosamond Community Services District Board of Directors, whose members honored him posthumously by flying the flag at the district's administrative office at half-staff from January 26 through January 31st, 2019. And whereas, beloved by his family, Jim Williford leaves to cherish his memory and celebrate his enduring legacy, his wife of 48 years, Christy, his daughter Amanda, Chip Heim, his son Thomas, Rachel Scheckler, his sister Ella, Lou Garcia, his sister-in-law, Sandy Peisinger, his mother-in-law, Helen Lundgren, and his numerous nieces and nephews, now therefore be it. Resolved by Senator Shannon Grove that she expresses her deepest sympathy at the passing of J. Russell Williford, and by this resolution memorializes him for his exemplary record of personal, professional, and civic achievements, as well as the love and devotion he shared with his family and friends. Members' Resolution number 237, dated this 10th day of April 2019, the Honorable Shannon Grove, 16th Senatorial District. And I want to make a note that this was an official record of the State Senate. It was passed by the State Senate. In memoriam, honoring the life of J. Russell Williford, in whose memory we pay tribute and reverence on this date, April 10th, 2019. On behalf of the California State Assembly, may I express our deepest sympathy, Thomas Lackey, California State Legislature. Certificate of recognition presented to the family of Russell Williford in honor and memoriam for Russell's service to the community of Rosamond and the Rosamond Community Service District. April 10th, 2019, Zach Scribner, Supervisor, 2nd District. I would like to ask the board and staff to join me in front as we present these to Christy. It was worth every word. Christy, here's the proclamation from Zach Scribner. And this is from Tom Lackey. Shannon Grove, State Senate. And Kevin McCarthy. And I just want to say, Russ was a dear friend, and so are you.
Well, thank you very much, all of you. He loved every minute he spent here, working with everybody and making new friends and seeing how everything worked. And he really enjoyed his time here and giving back to the community, and that's what he was all about. Thank you guys very much for doing this.
I know everything was bounced off her before he came to me. So hurry up, but it's there too. Hurry up, but it's there.
I think I had to push him out of the truck to register to file these papers. So anyway, thank you. I'm going to just shake everybody's hand because we loved every minute here. Greg, thank you so much. And thank you, Rick, you too. Everybody back here, and everybody for working with him so much. We enjoyed learning everything that you had to teach him. Everybody here, thank you. Lizette and all your staff and everybody. This is just overwhelming. Thank you guys very much. We appreciate it. I'll let you
just don't feel right jumping right back into the meeting and carrying on as business as usual. So I'd like to take a 5-minute recess and let everybody kind of talk to Christy and just take a few minutes to kind of decompress here a little bit. And okay, new business 2, approve the contract for professional services with Nichols Consulting, presented Jose Guerrero, interim assistant general manager.
So, background. The state of California has provided special districts the opportunity to receive reimbursement for specific types of labor relation costs under SB 90, which are state mandated cost program that began back in July of 2001. The program, Local Government Employee Relations, allows special districts to recover these costs. There are different types of California Public Employee Relations Board, known as PERB cases, that qualify for reimbursement. And the district has incurred costs that qualify under SB 90, such as staff time, investigating and resolving PERB charges, attorney's fees, consultant fees, again, related to the PERB matter, and any travel-related costs or other expenses that we've incurred due to the PERB-related charges. The district has previously retained Nichols Consulting to assist us in submitting for reimbursement from the state, and we have been previously awarded about $35,000 for fees that we've incurred in previous fiscal years. And so the district is requesting to renew his contract to allow us to continue to seek reimbursement from the state as we incur these fees. And the state does have specific deadlines, so we would like to make sure that we get on top of this to make sure that we meet those deadlines. He does have a fee, and it's a not to exceed. It's either a 7.5% total amount or $3,000, or whichever amount is less.
Okay.
And so staff is recommending that you approve this contract.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve NB2?
Yeah, can I get a question answered real quick?
Sure.
Just to make sure, the 3,000, that's for the whole amount, that's not per, it wouldn't be a claim we submit, right? What would we submit to him to research? So it's not per claim, it would be for the entire,
It is per claim. The state treats each fiscal year submittal as a
okay,
claim.
okay. So each time one goes in, okay. Right. And then the 35,000, that was all of us were awarded last year total, I mean, the
For
previous
the
year.
previous years.
Okay, it is either to not exceed, and that's per
Claim.
claim, okay, thank you.
I have two questions. One, or one statement. This is directly related to the establishment of a union, something that we need to do to get reimbursed on some of those costs. And my second is a question, do you have anything you want to add to the need for this kind of coverage?
It's a good item to farm out to a consultant because it is a specialized submission to the state, and somebody who does this day in and day out, they can do that a lot more efficiently than your staff can. So from a efficiency standpoint, it's good to contract out for something like this, and somebody who does it, day in and day out, it's a wise contract.
So it's your recommendation also?
Yes.
Right, one other quick question. They're referred by the special districts, right? So they have familiarity with all of the special districts we have.
Yes, and he's actually, the reason why I thought I'd bought him was because he published an article in the CSDA magazine several years ago that talked about this state mandate. If I would have not read that article, I would have never known that we could have qualified for this type of reimbursement.
Good, okay. Yeah. Just-
Any other questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the contract?
So move on NB2.
And I second it.
Okay, motion is made by Director Webb, seconded by Vice President Webb, strike that. Motion was made by Director Glennon, seconded by Vice President Webb. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. MB3, levying collection of assessments for the landscaping and lighting assessment district number 2. You all received a packet on this, and is there any more that you need to add to this?
Again, this is something we do annually, and before you have 2 resolutions to one initiate the proceedings and the other one's to declare the intention to levy. A public hearing will be scheduled for June 12th and another resolution will be before you to adopt, so that way we can go ahead and place those fees on the tax rolls.
Okay. And we have resolution number 2018-22 and 2018-23. And if I am correct, we can adopt both of them together? We don't have to do it separately? Okay. Any questions on these two resolutions? Okay, do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2018-22 and resolution number 2018-23?
I motion to adopt them as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Vice President Webb, seconded by Director Stewart. It's a roll call vote.
Vice President Webb?
Oh, yes.
Director Washington?
Yes.
Director Glennon?
Yes.
Director Stewart?
Yes.
President Wood?
Yes. Okay, new business 4, approve work order number 2019-2 in the amount of $27,000 for the preparation of a water master application for storage agreement for banking and recovery. This time John is not here, so our interim assistant GM, can you make a report on this, please?
I'm gonna pass this over to Brock Smith.
The work order you have in front of you is for Kennedy Jinks to prepare the necessary application and agreement to submit to the Water Master engineer and eventually the Water Master board. This will allow us to receive groundwater credit if approved by the Water Master board for any new water that we create or percolate out at the wastewater treatment plant. So this is a key piece of the puzzle with the planned wastewater treatment plant expansion, and this would be the final approval and written permission to receive groundwater credit for the water we're creating.
I think we need to clearly do this. Do you have any feeling for a date that they would have that done and be to the water master and us back with, yes, we'll give you credit?
I don't believe the work order has a timeline in it. I do know that Kennedy Jinks is working on 2 of these applications, or ours would be the second application, and these would be the first ones in the valley for something similar to this. They're doing the same thing for Little Rock Creek Irrigation District, so our hope is to present both of them at the same time for approval. We want to stay on top of this to make sure that we are receiving groundwater credit for the water we're creating.
That's good that they're doing 2 of them, not just that.
Mr. President,
Yes,
I
sir.
got a serious concern. I'm looking at this number amount here. Each time something comes from Kennedy Jinks, it's always a first time surprise, and I don't know if they assume that they can just push them through. But Rob, today, how much money has that company gotten from us? Approximately, you don't have to give me a specific amount, approximate.
Brad may have a better answer than that.
Guys, a roundhouse figure, I'm not looking for, okay, here's the point I'm trying to make. They're on the table for $27,000 more. I would hope that all the information they have sitting there to be easily presented. You said, John has said that this plan is going to work. The Water Master wants a plan now from us about it working. I'm concerned about this. We keep giving this company money, and to date, everything they submitted to us doesn't work. And I think that there's a problem with it. I'm almost to the point, Mr. President, we should have someone else look at this, because all this company does is send invoices in. And what I would ask you, my request would be, why don't you have them come here and explain to this board and to the community why they keep submitting invoices, but yet and still with a price tag on it, but yet and still they've taken right at $1 million from this community for a project that we don't even know is going to be viable at some point. But every time they come here, they're asking for more money. Every time they send us an invoice, it's for more money. And my concern now, another $27,000 for information that they already have there. I don't think it's a good practice for us to just keep paying this company. I'm disappointed at what they haven't done for us, and we keep saying, well, one more report. We may have a project that may not even get off the ground. I'm concerned about it, very concerned, Mr. President, and our fellow board members.
The part of that fee is the application to the water master, isn't it? Do the application.
This does not include the Water Master's application fee, but if I could add that even if this plant does not expand, As this board has mentioned in the past, we can still percolate water with the way the plant functions now. So right now, we're percolating in our pilot test 1.2 acre feet per day. That's 1.2 acre feet per day that we're not receiving groundwater credit for because we don't have this form in with the water master.
Well, I have a better question for you. If you're saying that, when you started percolating it, why didn't you bring this to us then? Or why did they bring that to us then? We started, I don't know the exact dates, but I came on the board in November. The speculation was, oh, we're gonna do this, and start speculating. We start percolating. We started percolating how many, about a month and a half ago? 2 months ago?
So the original percolation test, I believe, started in February.
Okay.
I don't have the exact date. I can find the exact date for
Yeah,
you.
bring that back to me. That's what I'm saying. So, but I kept hearing the water master wanted, but they never said a report. The assumption was being made that we're gonna get credit for it. Now they're asking for a report from us, that we have to pay for a company that we already been paying for. And, I just have some serious concerns about it. If all these things are up front and up board, what report is this in? Where did it end in the report that we're gonna have to pay for this? Did this come up after the fact? When did this come up?
There were conversations between the water master engineer and the previous general manager, a verbal agreement that we would receive credit for this, but we do not have that in
So
writing.
we don't have it in writing, never occurred, right?
And that's why we're asking for
That's
this,
the problem
to
we
get
have,
that
and
in
that's
writing.
something I'm not comfortable with. We have either buddy deals or handshake deals now. Someone's gonna come out for an additional 27,000, and they've gotten $1 million already. That's not being fair to this district. And if in fact, that's what the general manager did, and they didn't tell us about it because the general manager did state that we're gonna get credit for it. And if that was an agreement or a wink or whatever, that doesn't count in real life. So I think that we need to look at this and ask Kendi Jinks, Mr. President, to come here and explain why we still have to keep paying them for reports of information that we have available.
Question I have, I know we have to get it in writing. This is something this board has been asking for pretty much since we got on the board back in December. We've been want to be assured that the water master is going to give us credit for this water that we percolate. Otherwise, why percolate? But we had reports in the past that, and this is something I would like to get cleared up, that it was reported to this board that the water master was basically in full partnership with this, that Kennedy Jinks was talking with the water master and everything else, and they were all well aware of the plan we were doing and yada, 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 that they were all, everybody was on board with it 100% and everything else. But now it sounds like we don't even know if the water master is even going to accept it. And now, I'm kind of confused here. Maybe you can clear that up a little bit.
So, per the adjudication, any new water created in the district, and this would count as new water, counts as, or you can receive groundwater credit for that. So that's spelled out in the physical solution of the adjudication. But we need to prove with some of the tasks listed in this work order that water will actually stay within our basin, and that it's not causing any harm to surrounding wells, or it won't leave our basin. The concept, I think the water master is on board with the concept. They know that we're going to percolate this water, we can receive groundwater credit for that water. We just need to prove that it's not going anywhere else, that it's not going to head north and go to the Fremont Basin or head south out of the valley. So this documentation is necessary to prove that we are creating new water.
The one thing that I read the Fremont Basin Water Master Plan, and according to the Fremont Basin Water Master Plan, it's already been determined through geological survey and everything that they are a closed basin. So if they're a closed basin, which means none of our water is going to infiltrate north into the Fremont Basin because they don't mix. I know the adjudication put everything together to where the water in the Antelope Valley, even though you may percolate it here in Rosamond, doesn't mean it's gonna stay in Rosamond, but it's gonna stay in the Antelope Valley. And, cause everything kind of flows together. That was the whole argument of the adjudication to begin with, was proving that the entire basin was in overdraft, not little pockets here and there. So, with all that information that the water master was established on those premises, why would we have to prove something that was already proven in 15 years of court, through the adjudication court hearings from 1999 to 2014? And also, you know, my concern is that I know that we have to get this in writing, but one question that's been asked, and we're never given a definitive answer on it, but it's one that I've asked, and that is, you have the return flows that we're given credit for in the adjudication agreement. And the return flows are based upon water that is consumed by the community. So you get return flow credits based upon the water that your community uses, which is, if I'm not mistaken, it's 38%?
39%.
39%. Okay, so you got a 39% return flow on water that the community used. Now this water is sewage water that's been recycled. So therefore, the water that was used to create the sewage water, we've already got return flow credits for. And so the question that I asked and other board members asked in the past is that, are we going to get a return flow credit on this denitrified water, denitrified water that was created from water that already has a return flow credit to it? So yes, we're creating recycled water, we're percolating it into the ground, but that was a question that, you know, when this is all done, they may come out and say, no, you've already getting a credit. Is there any, see, I was hoping that Kennedy Jinks would be here, because we asked them to be here too, so we could, when we're facing stuff like this, to ask these questions, because, you know, it's questions that have been asked, but we haven't gotten the clarification, at least clarification that I'm satisfied with. So, you know, we have to keep moving forward on this project, but I'm in agreement with Director Webb. You know, keep throwing money out there when it's just, we don't even get answers to some of the questions that we've been asking all this time. And some of these questions should be real easy for Kennedy Jinks, because they've been working on this. Supposedly they've been working with the Regional Water Board. Hopefully they've been keeping in contact and keeping the Water Master, which governs the water in this valley, in the loop during this whole process since they started this back in, I believe, March of 2018. So, my question is it going to hurt to hold off on this for a couple of weeks and have them here at our June 12th meeting to where we can ask these questions? Is this gonna trip up some kind of deadline or something like that?
Not in submitting anything to the water master. I think that the deadline that we need to be aware of is our permit for this plant is due to be adopted by the state board on July 9th or July 10th. So if we want to have an answer on this before we adopt a permit with the state board, we should move forward with this. Other than that, there is no deadline for the water master. This is just, once we get approval, then we can receive
Well,
grant.
the water masters are not gonna have an answer to us by that July deadline anyhow. So
No.
we wouldn't know what their answer is anyhow by that time. I would like to have Kennedy Jinks here, because I want to talk to them. I want to get answers straight from them. They're the engineers that have been working on this whole time. And yeah, 27,000 may not seem like a lot of money compared to the money that's already been spent, but it's like, it's 27,000, and I want some clarifications on just the things that I've spoken to you about tonight.
Mr. President, also, the number may not be a big number, but every time they come here, the board either spends more time asking questions they can't answer or tell them what could be possible. And then they come up here and every time they present something, it's for a dollar amount for something that I'm hoping to see is already there. I've yet to see them come up here and take a proactive note or anything. It's always given us something, well, we need this much more. And then to prepare a report, they're doing one for Little Rock, so no one in the basement has a report yet, correct?
No, not for this type of project.
Okay, and they're gonna basically, the report's gonna tell them that the water's percolating properly to get to the water master.
Yes.
So, but our overall, I mean, the question I have, with the plans we have now, there's nothing in those plans now that say the water's percolating properly, because that started out afterwards, correct? The percolation started is after the plans were submitted, then we get the percolation test.
The plans don't meet the requirements for the water master to approve the
Okay,
percolation.
what's not meet, okay, that's a good point. What's not needed for the water master?
It's, if you look at task 3, it's the narrative report that's required by the water master. So that's what's required to be submitted to the water master. Our plans don't meet that
Why
requirement.
not? That's what I'm trying, what is it missing that the water, so the water master, Jim Jinks, that's $27,000 will answer this question, correct?
Yes.
So the water master wants a question that we have, in none of the reports we have now, it's not there. We have to give them a particular report designed the way they want it.
Yeah, and there is a reduction in cost compared to what Little Rock is paying, because they have already done some of this work for us. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but I can tell you that it's less than what Little Rock is paying.
No, why not to sound, I don't care about the rock part, I care about us. I understand what you're saying. Mr. President, we could table this until, our next board meeting have them come, because I'm just concerned now, every time Kennedy Jinks, they come here, they really don't answer the question, but we can continuously get bills from them. And if it's something that's needed, by all means, I think it should be paid, but on the flip side of it, I'm real concerned.
Okay, we have a motion to table. Any other discussions?
I think it would be good if we're gonna table to Kennedy Jinks explaining to us what they've been charged to do and how many times we've changed what they've been charged to do. We said we want you to paint this wall black, so they come and paint it black. Now we want you to paint this instead of all of that up front. And part of this we have to do because Wahatan is telling us we have a problem with our nitrates. We've got to do something or we're going to be in violation of a sewer treatment plant. So my thought is to have a meeting that's specifically devoted to this and to make it possible for several of the engineering people to be here, to have it during the day, and maybe even have it out at the sewer treatment plant. That's just an idea.
I agree. I think setting up a special meeting and that's dedicated to this, because, you know, reading the narrative report, Brock, everything on here that I've gone down the list, it's pretty much answered in all of the paperwork we've received from Kennedy Jinks. The CEQA studies, it just, location description, conceptual design, metering, volume and timing, extraction, location description, you have conveyance losses, evaporation losses, those have all been, it's all there. So, we've already paid for all this information to be developed, And I'd like to ask Kennedy Jink, where's the $27,000 come to produce a document that has information that we've already paid for you to put together? So I would like to, before we go any further, we have a motion to table. Did I get a second on that?
Second.
I have a motion by Vice President Webb, seconded by Director Stewart to table. And I would like to table this to a special meeting that can be set up at the earliest convenience by staff and Kennedy Jinks. And preferably a Friday that, that way all board members can be here in the daytime. That way we can spend as much time as necessary on getting everything drilled down and hammered out. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, director reports, comments, future agenda items.
Okay, I was at the Aqua Conference, and I gave the assistant Jim some information there. We had discussed at the budget meeting about getting everybody involved in training, and I think that's probably the best thing we can do to keep moving forward. A lot of information I received, I may not be able to put it on a daily basis, but I think Brock, you, your staff back there, and the staff here, it's a lot of good things came out. So it kind of supports when we're talking about the increase in the budget for training, doing some good stuff there. And the other thing I found out that there are a lot of districts with the same problems we're having, finding money to get jobs done. The rules are constantly changing, but it was worthwhile. I enjoyed it. Thank you folks for allowing me to attend. And I gave some of the information to Lizette. And also, if anyone, we were talking earlier about the conservation garden. We're going to start looking towards that, but if anyone has, this is back for the community part, if you folks have a notion of what you may like to see in it or whatnot, if it comes to life from a community garden conservation standpoint, let us know, because this is not going to be our idea, this is going to be a community concept type idea that we all get a benefit out of it. And we're going to start probably, Mr. Washington's available maybe next month, looking at 1 or 2 places, and we're going to bring the information back so we all have to say. So maybe it'll come down to where we'll have a community meeting, discuss other parts of it. But from what the initial information we've gotten, the other communities get a big bang out of it from a wellness standpoint. So I look forward to that. Again, the Aqua Conference is important. I would encourage all the board members, if your schedules permit, to attend. Thank you, sir. Dr. Washington?
I don't have anything.
In my other role in life, I attended a MOU meeting with multiple municipalities. Brock was there, and it was nice to see. Came in, we started talking with Palmdale Water District, City of Lancaster, City of Palmdale on developing an emergency plan and setting with contracts so that if we have a catastrophe, that they would loan us equipment or vice versa. Try to help each other out since we're all in the valley together. One question, I think Palmdale Water District was talking about buying new radios, and it was just something we were just talking about at the budget meeting. And I'm walking out, I'm talking to Brock, I said, it'd be a good idea. We're talking about getting those emergency radios, want to make sure they're compatible. And like that, he was like, oh, we're getting them from the same place. So that's what I like to see. I like to see that, we're piggybacking and we're making sure that we're planning it ahead so we will be able to communicate with the other districts. So that's all I got.
Dr. Glenn?
Tomorrow there's a meeting at 10 o'clock here about the Willow Springs Water Bank and talk about precipitation in California and that kind of stuff. If anybody wants to come and sit in on that meeting. And I'll add one more time, the success or the accolades that Russ received should clearly go to Cindy also. She was as much part of all that he has done as she could be, and want to thank her for her devotion and faithfulness to him over the years, even when she probably didn't like what he was doing.
You know, I would like to thank you for coming out, and I agree with Byron. You know, Christie, when we met back when our children were in Cub Scouts together, you have been dedicated to this community as much as Russ. Two people that love this community as much as you. There's no second to you guys. You guys have always held this community close to your heart.
It's a Williford legacy.
And it's just, thank you, and remember, you know, we'll always be here for you,
I appreciate that.
and, because you're not just the wife of Russ, you're a dear friend, and just remember, we're always here for you.
Thank you so much, all of you.
And I really appreciated her a number of years when she would give me my monthly paycheck at the school.
That's what you really like to
Okay, general counsel update?
No report.
No, Russ, John isn't here, but, Lizette, do you have, general manager's update?
I don't have anything to report.
Okay. Consultant finance update,
Nothing since Friday, thank you.
and,
However,
director,
Mr. President,
yes.
I'd like to give a public comment. That was a job well done preparing us for that stuff, and you brought up some points for us that things, because you're the number guy, so thank you for that. Folks, if you weren't at the budget workshop, you prepared us well, and you provided some great insight, so thank you very much.
Director of Public Works, Brock?
As Director Stewart already mentioned, we attended a mutual aid agreement meeting with various agencies throughout the Antelope Valley. We will be bringing that MOU to the emergency preparedness meeting to review to see if there's anything that the committee would like to add to that. And I will also be attending the Kern County Multi-Hazard Management Plan meeting, the update meeting tomorrow in Bakersfield, so we'll report on that as well. The only other thing I have to report is that the infiltration test, the percolation test at the wastewater treatment plant has been ongoing for the last 14 days since we revamped the percolation pond. And we have been seeing a steady 0.7 foot per day percolation rate, which is much better than the quarter foot per day percolation rate we saw before. So far we've put in 16.8 acre feet in 2 weeks. This is favorable compared to what we saw before. Hopefully that continues.
Any report yet on the mounding?
We're continuing to monitor the lysimeters and the groundwater monitoring wells around the area, but this is still early, so we're just getting samples out of the first lysimeters.
Okay. We got, touching on what Brock said, we're gonna have an engineering meeting next Wednesday, and, everyone's invited to it, but that's one of the things we're gonna be discussing is the wastewater treatment plant rehab and percolation and the remediation of the ponds and all kinds of good stuff. So it's good, good meeting for the public to attend, where they can hear what's going on and what steps we're taking to address issues. And with that, I'd like a motion for adjournment.
Moved.
Second. Motion is made by Director Stewart, seconded by Director Washington. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned at 6:56.